On today's show, Sens owner Michael Andlauer and general manager Steve Staios had some interesting comments this morning to the media.
We get some juicy scoops on trade rumors and contract negotiations.
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com and you'll get 50% off your first year. Today is Friday, June 6th, and Pilsy, Bruce Garrioch, has been suspended from being called Scoops for at least the rest of the summer.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say Bruce may be in the doghouse a little after multiple consecutive days reporting that the Ottawa Senators are, I don't know the proper language, interested in moving Drake Batherson. Rumors speculating around the Ottawa Senators dangling Drake Batherson, and Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, wanted to make things clear at the charity golf tournament that that's not the case. And I mean, it's a tough one for our guy Scoops.
Yes, the headline for Bruce Garrioch on June 3rd, 3 days ago. The talk in league circles is that the Senators would like to acquire a proven top six forward who can score either through a trade or on the unrestricted free agent market list. Then saying that the Senators maybe were a little frustrated by the lack of consistency. So Michael Andlauer this morning started his availability by saying, all right, let's go. Where's Bruce? And then Claire goes, well, why do you want to talk to Bruce? And he said, well, maybe he's not here because he's spreading false accusations or rumors around the internet. So we're trading Batherson. All-time clip there as Michael Andlauer clearly, if you don't know before, you know now that he'll go to bat for his players. And I appreciate him standing up for Batherson after his name got out there. Steve Staios saying that he called and spoke to Batherson. Side note, if you're Drake Batherson, you see those articles and then your general manager calls you. Is there not a moment where you're like, uh-oh, I'm gone?
Yeah, well, sometimes that could be the kiss of death. No, we're not firing our coach. No, we're not trading this guy. It's one of those, methinks the lady doth protest too much. And it's like, okay, like, you already told me you're not trading me. Like, why are you calling everyone saying you're not trading them? Like, why are you calling me talking about this? But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Bruce has been around enough that he's not just making this stuff up. He must have been hearing it and to go with it for multiple days in a row. And clearly it's a juicy story in this market. So it's interesting what's happening here. And I guess we can put it to bed. I mean, if Michael Andlauer and Steve Staios are firmly sticking in their stance that they're not going to trade him, we have to take those guys at face value so far. I feel like they haven't been misleading or, thrown off the scent or done any of those kind of things so far. So Drake Batherson will remain an Ottawa Senator.
I think you could put him in the untouchables category right now. Like, now what if a team comes with an offer that it just blows the Sens away? They would owe Bruce an apology, right or wrong. If he gets moved this summer, I mean, that would be quite a 180 from what we just saw this morning on social media about what Andlauer and Staios both said. Batherson is not going anywhere, and frankly, it's the right decision. We talked about it a couple days ago on the show. Yeah. The title of our show was that it would be very hard for the Senators to win a Drake Batherson trade when you look at the value of the contract for the next 2 years under $5 million each.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think an apology to a reporter would stop the Ottawa Senators from making a deal that they think would be a winning trade. But yeah, it certainly it adds a fun wrinkle to Sens fans that are in the market and kind of know the dynamics.
It is going to be fascinating to see what the Sens do this summer. But one thing you can X off is Drake Batherson going anywhere. To be a fly on the wall when Bruce Garrioch saw that clip for the first time. I mean,
Hey,
and where was it? Bruce, where were you, man?
Yeah, I feel like he's always at those tournaments. The guy loves golfing, so it is funny that he's not there. But I mean, Ross, he can't get everything right. So this is going to happen once in a while. It's just tough that it's kind of being put in this light.
Oh boy. Other updates from this news conference. Not that we're going to get specifics on contract negotiations, but Steve Staios saying that they are ongoing with both Claude Giroux and Fabian Zetterlund. So let me ask you this. Of course, Claude Giroux, the priority being an unrestricted free agent, whereas the Senators, as long as they qualify Zetterlund, will have further along to negotiate with him. At what point are your eyes going to start to squint a little bit like this, saying, I don't know if there's a deal going to get done at this juncture?
Like, are you suggesting, like, am I concerned that he might end up getting to free agency?
Not yet. I'm saying, when would that be the case? Because the team met with the agent, all reports say, in Buffalo. If it's such an easy deal, you got to think that they could have been further along by now.
I don't think it's an easy deal, Ross. I think they're probably working on, I don't want to say selling, portraying to Giroux what the landscape is and how the dynamics of this team and roster and ability to compete change around the different contract options they could lay out for Claude Giroux, right? Like they're probably telling him, look, we fully understand and value what you bring to this team, and we want to keep you around, but there's different ways we can go with this. If you want to be making a certain dollar amount, that's going to stop our chances to improve in other areas and things like that. And look, you got to do what's right for you. You're the one that has to go to sleep at night with the decisions you make, so you got to respect that. But there's different scenarios that, hey, you're getting closer to the end of your career. If you want to have a chance at success, taking a lower hometown discount would really open doors for us to make different moves to put this team in a place where we think we can be more than just satisfied with making the playoffs and getting beat in round one. So I think it's all about massaging, giving him the right amount of respect in the dollar amount that makes sense for Giroux, while also letting him know, plain and simple, this is going to be the contract decision that sets the dominoes for the rest of our offseason.
And you'd like to clarify that this is your opinion. You're not reporting what the team is thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything you hear me say pretty much can be chalked up as my opinion. Brandon Piller, not a reporter. Brandon Piller, not a journalist. I always get a kick, Ross, when people refer to us as journalists. And I'm like, have you listened to this show? We're two of the biggest goofballs there are, and we're wrong most of the time. So, yeah. That is not a formal report from Pilsy here.
Being right all the time sounds stressful.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have that approach, Ross, where we were so focused on getting all our stats right, editing out all our ums and ahs and mistakes. Crazy. And now it's at a point where our mistakes are some of our biggest successes in the podcasting industry. So we're much more laid back, and we take ourselves less seriously, which I think also, to tie it in, I think Bruce is doing a better job of being like that and having that approach than certainly he did in the past when we referred to him as an Ottawa Sun reporter.
We should note, though, he did get the Nick Jensen injury right. The Senders confirmed it was a hip injury.
That's what I'm saying. Like
that was a Bruce report.
Yeah, he's been around enough that he knows how it works, and he's gonna get some right and some wrong, and some maybe there's material changes.
When you shoot at the hip, you're gonna have to take a few bullets too. So Bruce took a bullet and in front of microphones and cameras got slapped on the wrist in the media. Okay, so but yeah, like, wouldn't you rather be wrong sometimes, and then when you're right, it's like, awesome, this guy got that right, rather than being right all the time? It's the expectation. Then when you're wrong, things like that happen.
Russ, that's the motto of my life. Set the bar low so you can step over it. Save the jumping for later.
Okay. On the other side, we will get to a couple other notes from the media availabilities this morning from Steve Staios, Michael Andlauer. Then I like these prospects. These are my 2 top prospects so far as we climb up our Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings. The mock draft, by the way, it's climbing. It's at 2.5 hours. We've made 11 picks. We've had 3 guests so far, and we do anticipate that it will be released, premiering on Sunday, June 15th. So not this upcoming Sunday, but the next one, a full first-round mock draft, the 4th annual here on the Locked On Senators podcast, which you're listening to right now. It's your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and buying NHL playoff tickets, it's easy to lose track, but that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, guys. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money and start building that wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals.
Yeah, I just got an email right now from Monarch Money just updating, hey, here's what you got left in your budget, flexible for the month. And it's so easy to be on top of your finances with Monarch Money.
That's what you want. Things can get away from you so quickly if you're not in control. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
All right, Pilsy, before we get back to our NHL Draft Rankings, where we've got an American and a Canadian on our list today. The American is one of the youngest players in the draft, and the Canadian, one of the oldest, but both bring unique qualities that could make them a good pick for the Ottawa Senators at 21st overall. The other notes from this morning's media availability, by the way, it was at the Senators Charity Foundation Alumni Golf Tournament. Arena project is, quote, moving forward, end quote. No specifics were given. These are courtesy of Julian McKenzie, who did a nice little recap on Twitter at JKA McKenzie. Great dude with the Athletics. So with that said, better going forward than backwards, but wake me up when either there is a shovel in the ground or if you're taking volunteers to get their boots on and put the shovel in the ground.
Yeah, Ross, I'm going to look at this moving forward quote as it's not going backwards. I think probably, and again, I don't know anything, but just on the vibe of it, I feel like we're more at a neutral stage here. It seems like there's a lot of red tape. People that live in Ottawa know building in a government capital city like this is not the smoothest. I think Michael Andlauer is finding that out firsthand, a guy who's used to moving things along a lot smoother. So I think we're not even close to being close to close. I've still got it. I want it on the record. 2032 is my target date for the new arena.
I'm sure Andlauer will just give the scoop to Bruce Garrioch to post whenever there is an update to give.
Maybe.
Maybe not. Yeah, wake me up when there is a real update on this. And that next update better be there's an agreement in principle between all 75 levels of government that there is actually going to be a downtown arena. I've actually pivoted. I still obviously really want the downtown arena. The sooner the better. I've decided with all the talk surrounding Rick Tocchet in Vancouver, and then I saw a feature on the Florida Panthers at how Bill Zito is saying the taxes are marginal at best. People talk about how that is a big reason why they're attracting free agents. There seems to be a lot of practice facility talk going on in the NHL right now. The Senators, yeah, it's called the Sensplex. They literally practice at a minor hockey fourplex arena where they get dressed at the arena and have to go minor hockey style, drive down the street to their practice facility. I think the Senators need to build a true practice facility that has all the amenities in the facility so that the players on off days don't have to drive to the CTC, get dressed, drive to the practice facility, get back to the CTC, and then do their workout or their nutrition. The practice facility, I've decided, needs to be upgraded in Ottawa, and I'm not paying $1 for it, but I do think it needs to be done.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Players are navigating through like 10-year-olds playing mini sticks in the hallway and stuff like that. Where would you put it?
Right next to LeBreton Flats.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Ross, we had a funny moment at Dev Camp. Remember Hoyt Stanley was all dressed up in his gear, but he missed the shuttle going there, and he was freaking out. He was
Full
like,
panic
"No,
mode.
I can't let this happen to me." Liam's Marshall was like, "I'll take you. Get in my Nissan, and I'll take you to the rink, kid." But luckily, he was able to figure that out. But yeah, that certainly is a important piece for drawing in free agents and trades and getting guys to sign extensions. I know it maybe seems silly, but the NFL, it's a big deal too. Your practice facilities, and the Ottawa Senators are very much due for an upgrade. But here's the thing, like, I don't know if you want to build the practice facility downtown before the rink's there. Then you got guys driving all over the place, and then they're like, well, where do I put my house? That makes sense for the games and practice. So it does make it a little bit difficult, but I'm sure that's something Andlauer is looking at.
Well, I think what you do is you look at where all the players like to live in general, and you put it near there. Like, think of Vegas. The rink is downtown, but the practice facility is near where the players live. In Henderson, here in Winnipeg too, it's the same thing. A lot of the players live in the west end of town. It's like a half hour to get to the actual rink that they play games in, but they play 41 times a year. Sure, they have morning skates there sometimes, all that, but their practice facility is like a 30-minute drive from the rink, but it's a 5-minute drive from where a lot of the players live. It's also a fourplex, but what they do have in Winnipeg that I do not believe, I could be wrong, but I do not believe they have in Ottawa, is there's like a real facility within the big fourplex arena that's like, this is where they have a gym there. They have everything that is just for the Winnipeg Jets, a players lounge, everything to do with that. I do not know of that being the case in Ottawa. And people could let us know in the comments. Maybe this is not true. If we're wrong, just chalk it up, add it to the list. Maybe I'll ask Bruce what the setup's like at the practice facility. Have we taken the piss out of that enough? It's so funny.
We're here for our guy, Bruce, but it is funny.
Yeah. Oh, you got to have a laugh at yourself. I'm sure Bruce is at the same time, man. It's outrageous to see an owner and a president of hockey operations both come out, especially Andlauer, and being like, where is he? Where is he?
Andlauer had some pep in his step, eh? You see that little heel clicker he did too? Like this guy was ready to roll.
Oh, yeah, he did. Does he maybe think he's getting his first round pick back? To quote Daniel Alfredson, probably not. Okay, we've had enough fun at the expense of Bruce. But yeah, I honestly think the practice facility is a bigger deal than maybe some would think, because these are the things you can do that don't involve the cap, that can make it a destination to come play for your city.
And especially, Ross, like, we're talking about like pros, like signing free agent deals and signing extensions over trades. How about college kids coming from Nodak and then coming to the Ottawa Senators being like, this is a substantial downgrade to the facilities I'm used to. So now I'm not saying they have to go full Nodak level. That there's a lot of money that colleges were able to invest in that stuff.
We need donors.
The NIL goes. Yeah, some donors would be great. But I think they're aware they need to step things up, which I think Michael Andlauer already has been doing. Yep. I think they put a lot of money into the gyms and things like that, so that helps.
Yes, big time. Okay, we will see what's next for the Ottawa Senators. It is June 6th. It is also a Friday, which means we are 3 weeks away from the NHL Draft. It also means we're inching closer to 21st overall, where the Senators do hold their first round pick this season as we approach it on our draft rankings.
We got to, before we go full draft mode, Ross, we got to talk about the other news around the NHL. Pete DeBoer being fired by the Dallas Stars is one heck of a statement. This guy has been to how many conference finals in a row? He never loses game sevens. They now have a championship window getting Rantanen. Like, what a time to fire your head coach. But it just goes to show sometimes making the worst wrong decisions on the biggest stage can have major implications. So there's two parts to this story, Ross. A, Pete DeBoer being a free agent coach probably has a lot of teams that already got their coach being like, oh man, like we wish we would have known this was coming. That's a guy that would have been great to have. And how about the Dallas Stars vacancy for head coach being available? That's got to be one of the most attractive jobs there is.
But don't you think it's a little late? Like, a lot of the head coaches have been hired already.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like if you're a guy like DJ Smith, I'm not saying the Dallas Stars would hire him, but like you missed out on an opportunity. At least there's other options available, and it's going to be fascinating to see who Dallas deems a better replacement. Because like when you're firing Pete DeBoer, sure, you're like, hey, bet he made a bad choice benching Ottinger the way he did. But do we think we can find a better coach right now? It's a wild move, but I don't think it came as a total surprise to too many people. That was something. That was a situation.
DeBoer has been to, 5 conference finals in the last 6 years?
With like 3 different teams, I think. Like, it's nuts.
And he's overstayed his welcome in 3 seasons. 2.5 for Vegas, and then 3 full seasons in Dallas. So short shelf life, it seems, for Pete DeBoer. We'll see where he ends up. And that sucks for him, too. Whereas I'm sure the Rangers job would have been intriguing for him. I'm sure.
Although they were going with Mike Sullivan no matter what.
Right. But the big time jobs, a lot of them have been.
Boston would have been one.
out.
I'm sure he would have thrown his hat in the ring for. Like
a day before for Boston, they hire Marco Sturm as their head coach. All right, let's get to our draft rankings next. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, Philsy, I got a scoop for you.
Hit me.
Bruce Garrioch is at the Cottage. For those wondering why he was not at the alumni event today.
Can you get him to call in?
I can confirm that he's at the Cottage, though. League sources, not league sources, journalistic sources tell me that Bruce Garrioch is at the Cottage. All right, and we are at a high point on our 2025 NHL Draft Rankings. Yesterday, let's be honest, it was a little disappointing. Hey, the players we covered yesterday, a little underwhelming.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
We're making up for it today because coming in at number 28 on our Locked On Senators 2025 NHL Draft Rankings from the U.S. National Team Development Program, it's Jack Murtagh.
Yeah, Jack Murtagh, interesting prospect for sure. August 07 birthday, so one of the youngest players in the draft. That's always important to note. With the US NTDP, 56 games, 22 goals, 31 assists for 53 points. Also had a nice showing at the U18s, 6 points in 7 games, and he's moving on. He is committed to Boston University for next season.
And what I love about Jack Murtagh, too, is that everyone that talks about him discusses how he raises his game in the biggest moments. When you need a goal, you need Jack Murtagh on the ice. He's got an elite motor. He's always buzzing around out there. And there's a good reason why a lot of our scouts are high on the left shot winger who plays both left wing and right wing. He's 6'1", almost 200 pounds. And Bob McKenzie has him at 26 on his list. Locked On NHL prospects at 29. Same with elite prospects. McKean's actually the highest on him at 21. Scott Wheeler at 34. Craig Button 32. And Corey Pronman did not include him in his top 36. Murtagh wore an A for the under 18 USN TDP team this year and was an offensive contributor as well with 22 goals and 53 points in 56 games. Scott Wheeler said his under 18s left a little bit to be desired. but he still put up 6 points in 7 games. So the contributions offensively were there. And to me, he's a projectable player that whether he hits the peak of being able to be, let's say, a third player on a top 6 line, I think he can still contribute in other ways if he's playing a little bit lower in a depth role.
Yeah, I agree, Ross. I think he's a well-rounded player. He's got good speed. The highlights I was watching, he can get past defenders on the rush. He's a strong, straight-line skater. Like, he's one of those guys who will get the puck in his own end, and he's not thinking about east, west, doing drop passes, anything like that. He's like, okay, I got the puck. I'm going straight north. And he does it well, though. So you can't really blame him for that, although he's going to have to find different ways to transition the puck up the ice. EP mentions that he's got to work on using his teammates more to transition the puck, get some give and goes going there as well. But he's got nice vision, 31 assists in 56 games. And I really noticed that he's got a good one-timer on the right flank on the power play. They were using him as a finisher on the program's power play quite often. And if he gets it in his wheelhouse, nice teed up, he's going to blast that thing home on the man advantage more often than not.
Yes, and what I also appreciate about Jack Murtagh too is that when you look at the off-ice conditioning, he's going to be one of the most prepared players going. There's some great quotes in a feature done by Scott Wheeler about from the NTDP strength and conditioning coach, Joe Maloney. He calls him a freak athlete, and he sees a lot of athletes that are elite coming through the program each and every year. So that's pretty high praise coming from him. He's a player I would be extremely interested in learning more about if I'm the Ottawa Senators. He's a guy I would have been all over in the interview process at the Combine. He's a real option to me at 21. That's, I think, the first time I've said that, because others have been like, okay, if they like the profile, maybe you could make it make sense. This guy fits the bill of what the Senators look for. Great hockey sense, great motor, great athlete. He's a real possibility for Ottawa at 21.
Yeah, I think so. I think 21 is a little high for him, Ross. Like, if the Sens selected him, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of the draft has gone. I think there's guys with bigger potential and higher upside, but he's such a good, well-rounded player that if the Ottawa Senators did decide to take him at 21, I wouldn't be upset. He's got lots of tools. You look at the speed, the motor, the shot. So there's really not a big issue for me with Murtagh. And Scott Wheeler mentions that defense, maybe not his bread and butter, but he has the tools to become a better player defensively. So I got Jack Murtagh at 4 stars, Ross. I'm proud to say it. I'm off the 3-star, 3.5-star pattern here. Murtagh, 4 stars for me.
And on Elite Prospects, they do an elevator pitch in their draft guide, which is a must-get every year. They call him a versatile spark plug winger who took major steps this year as a playmaker, complementing his potent shot with his high intensity, a high likelihood middle 6 winger. Their shades of is Chris Kreider, who I think that would be a great career for a late first-round pick if you could get a Chris Kreider out of it. And I really like that comparable when you watch his highlights.
Yeah, and that tracks, Ross, because how many times do you see Chris Kreider just speed up the wing, just going straight, and then he blasts past the defender straight and then drives to the net? Now, Chris Kreider has a tendency to drive to the net and through the goalie. So hopefully Murtagh can figure out how not to crash the net and injure goalies multiple times throughout his career. But I do see the comparisons, and I think that's a good one.
Okay, 4-star guy, Pilsy. Love to hear that. I am extremely interested in Jack Murtagh. If you get him into your organization, it's not like he's right away going to be the top prospect. I wouldn't go that far, but I would say that he's got an ability to pop off as he's committed to Boston University for this upcoming season. And they're building a great team there. We've already covered other players who are heading there next season, and they've got a great base to work with as well as one of the more prestigious East Coast universities to play hockey at in the fall. So that's where you'll find Jack Murtagh after his career at the US NTDP, where he impressed everybody who he came across there. And for that reason, with an average ranking of 28.5, Jack Murtagh comes in at number 28 on our Locked On Senators 2025 Draft Rankings. You can find all of our draft profiles available online on YouTube, individually packaged, and all of our profiles are at the end of every single daily episode of the Locked On Senators podcast, where we do have your team every day. All right, coming in at number 27 on our 2025 Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings, to the QMJHL we go. One of the oldest players of this draft class. Wild to say. He did turn 18, though, in October, so played his entire season as an 18-year-old. It is Bill Zonnon, who's recently been in the news, too, getting traded just yesterday.
Yeah, Ross, I'll let you do the news report of where he was playing and where he was traded. I'm going to butcher those QMJHL team names, so I'll leave that for you. But what I can tell you confidently about is the stats this guy puts up. 64 games, 28 points, 28 goals. Oh, no. 55 assists for 83 points with the Huskies. He was assistant captain. And then in the playoffs, he popped off too. 8 goals, 8 assists in 13 games, so above a point per game pace. So sure, he's older, got more size, got more experience. His third straight year in the Q. He's got 195 games under his belt, but he's making the most of his time there. And I've been impressed what I've seen from Bill Zonnon so far.
One of the best work rates in the entire CHL. He can play versatile at the wing or at the center ice position. He's got the size, the determination. He's physical. He brings a full package to whatever team decides to draft him. We know in the Q it's a little bit different, a little bit more fast flowing than the other Ontario and Western hockey leagues, but you can't hold that against him, as he's done his best now for 3 full seasons in the QMJHL, which I think that's great that he got traded. By the way, it's from Rouyn-Noranda to Blainville-Boisbriand. That was the deal, and it included a player that we covered a couple drafts ago. Spencer Gill came the other way in that trade, so we'll see how that affects his development, but that's a long time. A lot of games.
Did they both get traded there, Ross? I don't think Gill went
together?
the other way. Yeah, no, that was a separate deal. Both of them going to the new Armada team. Yeah.
All right. So then maybe that's going to be a wagon next
they're
season.
stacking up.
195 games already in the Q, 180 points. But in the playoffs, he ups that point per game to over 1, where he's got 33 points in 32 games, including 16 in 13 games this past season. Bill Zonnon is a, quote, playoff ready forward. That's from the elevator pitch over at Elite Prospects. And when you look at what Scott Wheeler sees at him, one of the first things that jump out is that, to me, is that he's got a B game as well, which gives you that high certainty that no matter where you plug and place him into the lineup, he can contribute in different ways, even if the scoring perhaps takes a drop off once he turns pro.
Yeah, and you can really see that through watching him and through any reports you read from scouts. EP mentions how he's always supporting teammates in all 3 zones. He pressures opponents with physical contact. He forechecks with aggression. He doesn't need a lot of work defensively. He is the prototype of what you want a power forward to be. And I would say he has a high floor. And I feel like, Ross, that's typically a backhanded compliment when you say prospects have a high floor, because then it's usually followed by saying low ceiling. But I wouldn't say that about Bill Zonnon. I would say he has a high floor with lots of good potential to grow. Like, if you're a team and a scout that's had difficulties drafting projectable players, and you're like, look, enough with the high upside, enough with the boomer bust. It hasn't been working out for us. Let's get a guy into our system that is safe, well-rounded, can produce offensively, is good defensively, good in all 3 zones, has size, has experience. Draft Bill Zonnon then. Like, he's a guy that I feel like you can pick with lots of comfort, knowing you're going to have a guy that's going to push to be a pro player at one point in his career. So I like this player too, Ross.
Just like Jack Murtagh, it's a guy that's not going to be, oh my God, what a home run steal. That's now the best prospect in Team X's pool, but he's a perfect complementary piece to a prospect pool that already has high-end talent or a team that already has their core nucleus at the NHL level, and you're just looking to add around the edges to guys who can be difference makers in different ways, Bill Zonnon and Jack Murtagh both give you that flexibility that all teams are looking for when they're looking to build their third line, but maybe whether it's an injury or just the flow of a season, they can step up and take on a bigger role and really impact the score of a game.
Yeah, definitely. I lean more towards Bill Zonnon than I do Jack Murtagh. I mean, he is one spot ahead of him in our rankings, so that makes sense. But I just think he has a little bit more of a B game or skills away from the puck than Murtagh had. Not to say he can't get there one day, but I would say Zonnon is ahead of him. And I mean, we're looking at one of the older players in the draft compared to one of the younger players in the draft. So again, you have to look at that when you're doing that comparison. But
I was going to say, do you think he's about 11 months better than Jack Murtagh?
Actually, you know what? That sounds about right. I would say he's 11 months ahead in his development path. So yeah, that's a good point. I got Bill Zonnon 4 stars.
Whoa!
Back-to-back 4-star day for me here. So it's a good one. If the Ottawa Senators, again, I would say 21 is a little high for a guy like Zonnon. And I think I'll be saying this every single year leading up to the draft. I want to see the Sens try to take a swing for a guy with more upside. But if the Sens were to draft Zonnon at 21, or if he was still available and they're like, hey, we can trade back a couple picks and we could probably still get him, I wouldn't be upset with that.
No, I wouldn't be either. And I would be like, oh, damn, they went that direction. Okay. If they do take Bill Zonnon in the NHL entry draft, he is 27th on our Locked On Senators rankings, an average of 28.14. I don't think I read off all of the rankings, so I'll do that to wrap up. Usually we do it at the start. Craig Button higher than anyone else on him, 18th overall on Bob's rankings. Corey Pronman and Locked On NHL have him at 27, Elite Prospects at 28, Scott Wheeler at 31, and Bob McKenzie at 34. Again, Bob's rankings are the oldest too, and Zonnon did have a nice finish to his season as well. So there's good reason that Bill Zonnon will hear his name called at the end of the first round in the 2025 entry draft. For all of our draft profiles, you can go check out all on YouTube. We're also available wherever you get your podcasts in full episodes. We wrap up each and every show over the course of late May and early June with our NHL draft rankings. All right, Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Final thought for me is I don't have it with me, but should I go get my prop for this?
Yeah, sure. We'd love to see it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, wow. Pelzy's getting me to tap dance here a little bit. So I'll just keep on rolling with what we've got next week on Locked On Senators. So the scouting combine is now over. The Senators put out a few of the little clips here and there, the scouts. It's all just scout speak, but this is such a critical juncture. We just chatted with Cam Robinson. That'll be coming up in our 2025 mock draft. And he said that now more than ever, the rumors and the discussions were going outrageously to a high level because these scouts know that they're not going to be able to be on the draft floor together. Pillsy just mentioning how the scouting combine this year might even be more critical than in years past.
Yeah, and that's exciting. It's not often Buffalo is a place where a lot of things happen, but this year,
Great Wings.
Great Wings. That is the case. All right. I feel like normally, Ross, we would have done an edit there, but I'm glad we're doing this live. Brings a little depth to the show. So this is a lot of time where rumors and health updates are happening, Ross. In my household, I have an unfortunate injury update.
No.
Jake Sanderson has lost his head.
Oh my goodness.
Bobblehead. You had your dog knock over your Brady Tkachuk bobblehead. My cat was the culprit here, knocking over Jake Sanderson. Look, this guy's known for his hockey IQ. You got to have that brain attached to the body for Jake Sanderson. I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe try to get some crazy glue, or if a Sens Central citizen wants to hook me up, if you got an extra Jake Sanderson bobblehead, please let me know. We'll be in discussions for that because this sucks having my collection tainted. I'll tweet out a picture of the collection I have, but unfortunate news. And Ross, I don't know if did you see it happen?
No.
Yeah, same with me. I didn't see it happen. Walked downstairs. Jake Sanderson is just decapitated on my basement floor.
No way. Did you call 911?
I did not. Brandon Piller, not a doctor. I wasn't able to assess the seriousness of this injury, so I decided it's something I'll deal with in-house.
Yes, that's probably the right move. Keep that line open for true emergencies. Shout out Dollars and Sens, who hooked me up with a new Brady Tkachuk one after my dog got that. And we've learned a lesson. I guess it's easier for dogs than cats who can just fly all over the place and you never know where they are. But I've moved my bobbleheads up one level on my counter.
Yeah, that's not stopping a cat. Mine was well above ground level and still happened.
Oh, RIP. Well, we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe to the ER and you'll be able to get the super glue involved. That's really sad. Why'd you end off on such a sad note? This was a funny show.
Sorry. I mean, we're talking about updates for the team. That was an injury update that I had. Yeah.
Thanks for the scoop.
No problem.
All right, that's it for us today. Thank you for watching, listening, and engaging with the show. If you enjoyed it, please click the thumbs up below. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about these two prospects that we are higher than most on, and your thoughts of Michael Andlauer and Steve Staios' media availabilities. Those are now available on the Senators YouTube page. For us, we'll see you on Monday. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.